Welcome everyone to Chapter 7 of Far from the Madding Crowd. Recognition, a timid girl. Let's have a recap of the last chapter. In the last chapter, we came to see the fire accident that had happened at Bathsheba's farm, and there we get to see Gabriel meeting Bathsheba again, and he poses the question whether she wants a shepherd. This meeting with Gabriel left Bathsheba both awkward and amused at the same time. At this point, the author gives us a glance at Bathsheba's character. We can read from the text, "Embarrassed she was not, and she remembered Gabriel's declaration of love to her at Norcombe, only to think she had nearly forgotten it." So here we can see that Bathsheba had almost forgotten everything about Gabriel, and now when she saw him again, she could recall the incident of Gabriel declaring his love to her and her meeting Gabriel, everything, all those things. She understood that she had forgotten them. At this point, Bathsheba answers the question Gabriel had asked her whether she wants a shepherd or not. Bathsheba was in need of a shepherd, and thus she asks him to speak to her bailiff. Gabriel was to join the next day, and he was in need of lodging that night. From the bailiff, he could find that there was a malt house called the Warrens Malt House, and if he reaches there, he'd be able to find out lodging for that night. Gabriel starts walking to this particular malt house, and on his way he saw a timid girl. She was there in the darkness, and in the text it is mentioned that she was a slim girl and she was thinly clad. So when he met her, he asked her the question, "I'll thank you to tell me if I'm in the way for Warren's malt house." So he asked her, or he confirmed it with her, whether he was going the right way to the malt house. And the girl replied affirmatively. She said yes, and she asked a question in return, and she wanted to know whether he knew for how long the inn called Buck's Head Inn will be open. Since Gabriel was new to the area, he didn't know the exact information, and so he couldn't answer to her question. Now the girl asks Gabriel a favor of not telling about their meeting to anyone. "You won't say anything in the parish about having seen me here, will you? At least not for a day or two." "I won't if you wish me not to." So Gabriel is answering that if you don't want me to tell about our meeting to anyone, I won't. She thanks him, and at that time he notices that she was very poorly clad. So he tells her, "You ought to have a cloak on such a cold night." The night was so cold and she didn't have enough clothing to keep her warm. "I advise thee to get indoors." To which she responds in a negative way. She asks him to please go on, please leave her. "Oh no, would you mind going on and leaving me? I thank you much for what you have told me." "I will go on. Since you are not very well off, perhaps you would accept this trifle from me. It is only a shilling, but it is all I have to spare." And at that time he offers her a shilling, which was all he had with him. While he passed the amount to her hands, he could see that, or he could feel that her heart was beating, heart was throbbing so intensely. After that conversation, after giving the money to her, both of them departed or parted their ways. We have come to the end of chapter 7 of Far From the Madding Crowd. This was a small chapter, and if you have any queries, any doubts regarding the chapter, feel free to comment below. Thank you.